Hi guys, I'm Nathan Ryan. I'll be talking about the IDEA. So, what is the IDEA? IDEA stands for Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It is an act that was enacted in 1975. It actually was the Education Handicapped Act for all students. So, basically, anyone with a disability is now allowed to go to school with their needs being met. What this act did was evaluated students and defined what kind of disabilities they had, and it defined on what type of assistance they needed. As time progressed, we created new technology and different things that actually help students in better ways than we used to years before. And the whole goal of this act is to make sure every student has a fair chance at education, no matter what the cost of their disability is. The history of the IDEA, again, it was the Education for All Handicapped Children in 1975, later on changed to the IDEA in 1990. And in 2004, the law was reauthorized and continues to be revised or reauthorized. Like I said, with the amount of technology we've coming out with, it changes every year, and make sure that people are able to use it. Before the Education Act was actually put into effect, many people, many individuals or students were living in state institutions, whether they had an intellectual disability or an actual mental illness. A lot of people, such as their family and others, really didn't know how to take care of them. But with this act, it allowed them to actually go to school and continue an education without any complications. With that being said, one of the first things created for the Education Act was FAPE, which is the Free Appropriate Public Education. And what this is all qualified persons with a disability within a certain district, depending on the school district they were around, are actually allowed a free public education. The ED Section 504 regulation defines a person with a disability as a person who has any physical or mental impairment that limits one major life activities or has a record of such impairment. So, anyone with some type of disability is allowed a free education, and that is under that law. With the LRE that was created, it was the least restrictive environment. Basically, it starts out with the students going to the school, um, taking placement tests, and all that kind of stuff to see how the students will act around other students and everything like that. Eventually, the number one goal is to get all the students into general education. Students with mild and moderate disabilities actually flourish in classes with other peers of themselves or general education classes with other students, and they're actually able to learn all the things they do need to continue on in their educational career, which is great. One of the big things that I've learned this past week, I know the video kind of seems a little short, but I really want to talk about more so of what I've learned this past week, especially with the assistive technology and the quiet list. One of the big things that I talked about was the use of a microphone. In the quiet list, one of the teachers actually talked about one of her other coworkers having ALS and using the microphone to talk to her students just because her voice is becoming hoarse and raspy and doesn't want to affect herself even more. While I was doing my observations, a lot of the teachers actually had these microphones in their classrooms because a lot of students were hard of hearing. And I thought that was great because they used the microphone to allow the students to hear themselves, but also to get the students' attentions, not just the hard of hearing, but everyone's attention. Rather than yelling and scaring the students, they were able to just be a little louder in the mic and everyone was able to hear her. So one of the things I would do while becoming a teacher is to make sure I go through every student's needs. It is our jobs to continue their education and make education fun and engaging for them. I know during my time in school it wasn't the best, but as becoming a teacher, that's one thing I would like to do and make it so that it's fair for everybody. I really, if I do get students that are disabled or have disabilities, I really want to make sure that they're included and not felt out. Um, just because I know how it can be being left out and seeing how it can affect everybody. But that would be my biggest thing is making sure they're all included and actually create some of the assignments based off of them to make it engaging for them.